Oh, I never explored this place. Especially now that I beat Starlight Valley. It's really confusing.
It just includes stuff that she's been signed off.
And it's all out.
You can't see on the She plays ancient impact. She's
I wonder how we're gonna do this fucking carbon thing you always.
yeah. Yeah. You can basically look for people. Like even if I wanted to do one on my own phone. We should ask her. It's like a year since you told us.
Yeah, she is in the movie. She is in the
So we just made the announcement for the panel, so we're just kind of waiting a couple more minutes for the announcement to kind of flip through.
Sounds
Very
good.
good, man.
Start.
I'm interested to see what you guys got going on here. So.
Let's see if I get a watch yours.
Oh, well, there you go. Thank you. There's no way to close this blind, is there? Is that because of the fire door?
Yeah, it's a fire door.
I don't know if we can do that.
Well, we tried doing it, it locked up, so I think it's on.
Yeah. We have the black box downtown, and we have one. We're like, come on, it's a black box. You don't want the sun beaming in, you know? You can't find it. So they have to stay open.
Yeah. That's fair. But at the same time, I get these things too.
Yeah.
It's just everyone has a monster hero.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Legolas and Aragorn.
As long as somebody knows how to undo it, I figured you did. But then again, when this situation happened, you have panic or adrenaline, boosting people. So.
So you just get to chill in here all night?
Yeah, I guess he wasn't here yesterday. He was saying it.
Yeah, that's Stephanie yesterday. She's not, she should be here. Stephanie's not gonna relieve you when she gets here, or you're in here all night?
No, so yesterday I was actually, they told me that I was supposed to be here. I was actually supposed to leave.
But it looks like it's just like black.
She's in at 12.
Oh, we didn't put it over.
Alright, good luck, I'll watch you from close.
Please
I'm out of here.
on fire because then all of them catch on fire.
The tank goes right before the course.
I don't know how, like, if I was sitting out there like Alva, I think I would be fine, especially if I had a fan, I was like, really? I know, I was sitting there trying to get the laptop to work in front of the projector yesterday, it was like blowing hot air candles.
This is life's first podcast interview with an immunologist. Started at 11:30. Oh, I did 11. I was hungry. Okay. I thought it only lasted 12 minutes. I was like, wait, what?
They're like, Alicia, what are you doing?
All right, let me get my my notes out. Can y'all hear me? All
Yes.
of you, every single one of you.
Yeah.
Everybody's over here.
Let's see. I put down all my notes. Okay. So, my name's Anthony, and I grew up here in Yuma. I've been playing TCGs and card games for almost its inception, as Magic was pretty much the first one that created the genre of a trading card game back in the early 90s. I think it was 93, 94. And then after that, we had, I believe it was Pokemon came, and then Yu-Gi-Oh came. And, you know, those are kind of like the big three that everybody knows of. So I started Pokemon in '99 when it started. I also played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh when it started, but then I gravitated more toward Pokemon. And then when I started playing Magic, that has just kind of engulfed the majority of my life at that point. And I love Magic. And unfortunately, I love it too much sometimes. But because of all of that history of trading card games, for the last almost, I'd say 2 decades, I've always wanted to make my own. And the biggest hindrance of making my own card game, which would be a lot of people's roadblock, is the artwork. Because everybody knows that art drives design, it drives advertisement. It's the first thing people look at. You look at art before you look at words, because you have to think to read words. You kind of just interpret what art is and what images you're seeing. You don't necessarily have to read pictures, you know? So with that in mind, I say it took quite some time before I actually started putting this together, because I don't have the artistic prowess to actually draw, as a lot of us don't. So with the advancement of technology and everything, I am using AI images to create all my artwork for this game. I've used Stable Diffusion, which is something some people may know. I don't know if anybody knows what Stable Diffusion is. Never heard of that. So it's a software-based AI image generator. And so you type in a prompt for what you want to come out, and then it will generate close to what you're wanting. Now, it's funny because and I'm doing this all alone. So the templates, the design, how to play the game, all the abilities, everything about it is just me. It's only me. And the most difficult thing so far has been the AI image generation. I say that because the images you see on the banner and what you're going to see here, they take a long time to get correct. And I'll show you images how, for some reason, there's a third leg in there. and you're like, why? Why?
Extra combo attacks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it creates multi-attack at that point. So when I was doing this with AI images, there were so many times where I'd be like, okay, well, that's a third leg, that's a fourth arm, it's not no crab thing going on. And then not only did you have extra limbs, you got 10 fingers. I mean, you can't really do much with that in a TCG and how you fight and all. Now, aside from limbs, digits, and fingers and feet and things like that, the face is very difficult to make sure it is, I don't want to say realistic, but recognizable. Because you get some faces that are just like, you know. And like I said, I'm going to show you pictures. It's hilarious. But so that has honestly been the most difficult thing, is creating the AI images. So I have a design background. And so I go and I do the AI imaging, do all the prompts and everything myself. And then you have to do it in a batch process where you can do about 8 images, and you have to have a computer that can actually do it. So you need a graphics card, you need the memory and everything. It takes a lot to do. So then I take those images, the ones that I think don't have 6 arms and 12 toes, I take those into Photoshop and I kind of piece it together to make the characters, and then I just go from there. That's kind of the design process on how that goes for the art aspect of it. So the way that it came to be a martial arts themed trading card game is, I have a background in martial arts that spans more than 3 decades. So, and I fought all over Yuma. I had my own school here in Yuma, which was Yuma Taekwondo Center decades ago. And then I fought all over the U.S. I fought in Mexico. I've been a champion in Alaska, Arizona, California, all sorts of things. So my experience in this genre, it's all I know. It's just all I just know how to fight. And so I thought to myself, I want to make a game that is based off my experiences as a fighter, as an instructor, as an owner, as a competitor, and things like that. So that's the background of the game. Now I'm going to bring up the website here. And again, I've created all of this myself, so it's taken some time. but I'm happy with the way it's come out. So in this game you have, so in other trading card games you have resources that you need in order to play your cards. And in Magic you have mana. You need lands. You have to tap your lands to play your spells. In Pokemon you have energy. You need energy to power up your monsters so you can attack. In Yu-Gi-Oh, I think you need to have your cards in a certain position to attack and things like that. So there's a lot of issues when it comes to a resource in a game where sometimes you get too much mana or you won't get enough, you get all your energies, you won't find your Pokemon, and things like that. So I wanted to try and erase that. So in this game, your resource is experience. And it's perfect for a martial arts thing because that's what I gained over these years is all this experience. And so with experience, you also have as another form of resource is durability. And so if I go here into, I had it up, I think it got closed. Let's see. Statue. So this is how it started. I needed durability, I needed bleed, I needed experience, I needed advanced techniques training, I needed ultimates and everything. So this was like in the first couple of weeks when I was designing, trying to figure out how I want to put this game together. And this was like the first AI image that I put together was like a fighter who was relaxing, meditation, and trying to experience martial arts and rest and relax, you know? So this was the first one that I came up with, and I liked it for about 2 weeks. And then I was like, okay, this is too complicated. It's too much because you have to remember that it fits on a small card like this. And you're putting dice on it. It's going to be too cramped up. So when you're making a card game, you have to be okay with failing 100%. You have to fail, and you have to fail often, and you have to learn from that failure. And so I love the design. I love the concept of all these things that you have to learn into the game, but it didn't work. So I had to figure out a different way to do it. So that brought me to durability. So I just pretty much took each of those sections and took it out and made it its own entity. And durability is like a shield. And just like when I was fighting or anybody fighting, your body can sustain a few hits before it starts hurting. So you can take 4 to 5 shots. That 6th or 7th shot, you're going to start hurting. So that's what durability is. And you're wanting to build up your durability in this game. That way it doesn't hit your HP, your life points. So you only have a maximum of 100. And damage can add up real quick in the 20s, 30s, and 50s. And you can get almost 2 shot and be out. And that's real fighting too. So that's where the experience came from. So you have experience that you gain every turn. That way you can build that cost and then play your attacks and everything. And then you can go into combat and fight your opponent. You have durability where you have to build up. That way when your opponent fights you, you can sustain some damage and still be healthy at 100 HP. So that's the concept between that. So after that came bleed. And this was the first image I put together. If you know, this is Master Roshi from Dragon Ball. He always likes his magazines, and this is what he does. And so when I was putting this together, I was like, okay, I need some sort of bleed, whatever. I just need like a placeholder image, And so that's what the Master Roshi is. But bleed is very important because when in a tournament setting, if you're under 18 and there's bleed, you make your opponent bleed, you're disqualified, you get a warning, things like that. Level and adult 18 and above, if you bleed, well, wipe it up, keep going. So it is a thing that happens in competition and actual street fights and things like that. So the bleed factor in this game is a constant damage amplifier on your fighter. So if you get a stack of bleed, which is 1 counter, at the beginning of your turn, you would remove that counter, but you would take 2 damage. So, and that bleed was stacked. So I think yesterday when I was demoing, I looked at like 10 bleed stacks, which means 10 turns, I'm going to take 2 damage at a time. You total that's 20 damage. Out of 100, I got 80 left technically. So that's not even including the fight that I'm about to go into. So it adds up tremendously. So something my brother had mentioned when we implemented the game is something called hemorrhaging, because that's a real thing. If you bleed too much, it's not good. So I'm trying to incorporate it into the playability, the way the game plays, rules and everything that is kind of semi-based on realistic things when it comes to a fight, and mostly based off my own personal experiences. So that's bleed, experience, and durability. When I finally came to figure out for certain cards, I wanted something like an axe kick. And in developing this, this was like the first template I made for the cards and how much XP was going to cost, what the name of the card was going to be. I just grabbed a stock image, just again, an image for a placeholder. And then I started creating a template of what I wanted the actual card to look like, because that's very key. It's going to be something that people remember. You look at the back of a Magic card, and if you play Magic for any amount of years, you know exactly what that is. You can just picture it and see it. So you need something like that when you're creating your game, whether it be the back of the card or the template of the front. It's got to be consistent. So the one thing that I really loved, and I stuck with this all the way up until like the first alpha print, where I just went to whatever, print them out on paper, cut them, and played with a friend. Like I went all the way to that point, was the belt. This belt represents a multitude of different things. A, it represents the rarity of the card. In this instance, this is uncommon since it's blue. White belt would be common, and then we have gold belt, which would be rare. There's a black belt, a rarity, which is Dan rarity, and in martial arts, you're a first Dan, second Dan, third Dan of a black belt. That's what that rank means. And if the belt in the game is red and black, that's master level rarity. So this meant a lot for the game because it showed you the rarity, and it also showed you actual belt rankings for real martial arts. So it meant a lot to have that there. And eventually I got rid of it, unfortunately, but in a good way. Another one is, now it's funny because this is one of the good AI images that I was able to create. Although it wasn't until later when my buddy looked at it, he's like, why is he cross-eyed? And I was like, oh! So
he's got 2 targets.
Yeah, he's fighting 3 people right now. So it's like things like that you don't know until after you put the image there or after you've gone to print, because as a single game developer, myself, just like doing this alone, I can't catch everything. I try, but I can't. And another friend of mine, he's like, is that 6 toes? I was like, hey, don't worry about it. Dexterity is a thing, okay? The balance is key. And so, and things like that, it's funny, but then I do have to go back and change it. I do have to make those changes, you know? Some of them I actually left. I'm like, that's too funny to change. But you can see how we went from where the axe was just a stock image, and now I have this silver bar at the top where it says training. The card's starting to come together at this point. But I still have the problem of the belt that's in the middle. It's taking up a majority of the card. As much as I still love that, I can't keep it there. And my dad's also a designer. He brought it up. It's like, it's great, but it takes up too much space. It's a bit cluttered, and it makes sense. And it took me a while, even after he said that. It still took me a while to get rid of it. So I was in development of a couple of different other templates. So I ended up coming up with this style of template, where I would move the belt to the top, and then it would still hold the rarity. It would still hold the value of what martial arts belt it is and things like that. And then I did have my text box drop down here, and then you still had plenty of room for the art, you know? And so that was the next step in creating the template. So now I got rid of that. And I think this was another one that I was looking at, where I wanted something blurred in the background, a little bit of gold trim on the belt, which was like very elegant and looked really nice. But then at the same time, I was like, man, fighting is just raw. It's not pretty. So I was like, I just got to get rid of that. It's not going to happen. So I got rid of that. And now, let's see if we can get to... So this is now the official durability token, which I put about 4 different images together, added some sparks and everything, and I wanted it to signify strength and being strong, being able to hold your ground, stand your ground, take some hits, things like that. So that's durability. The experience counter, here's the official experience counter, and I wanted it to be more of a in-your-face, intense, boom, experience happening, coming right from the mind, because that's where it is, you know? And the bleed, which is actually my favorite, the bleed token really signifies exactly what it is. So you can see where I came from the beginning to the middle to where this is now the final part that will be printed. The bleed mechanic with the character there, it shows the battle scars, it shows the combat, it shows the damage. It is a little raw. It showed the intensity of her face and her eyes and everything with it as well. And that's what I really liked about this one. And it took about 36 different images when I was doing AI to figure out which one I wanted. And then the thing was, because you had to be very specific on where you want the blood to be or the scratch or anything. So there was like scratch through here, it was all through the face. And so I had to pick which one I wanted. Then I'd go to Photoshop and edit this part out and put the other cheek that was good over here, and then add the blood over here. And like, so it's like a puzzle that you're designing to make these, which it's fun for the first couple times. And then once you've done this numerous times for every card, you're just like, just get it done, man, just get it done. But then that's when you see 6 toes and cross eyes. So, I mean, things happen. So now, one thing when it comes to creating your game that a person online, when I was playing them, brought to my attention, which is very, very important, and something that if you're creating your own game, this is something that you have to keep in mind. It's called a 5-plot diagram. And I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this before. There we go. You have? Somebody said yes? No? Okay. So 5-plot, I have it in my notes because this is a lot. 5-plot diagram. Where did I put it? There it is. So this is kind of how film editing and gaming and plot and everything, writing and books, this is how a lot of them do their critical thinking and how they want their idea to go and become something. Now, I didn't realize that I was doing this. He told me, you're doing this except you're having like you're having a snag at one particular point. And so I ended up fixing that point. But you have here at the beginning, which is the exposition, which in this game, you're picking your fighter and your style. That's the beginning. You figure out what style they want to be. And our styles right now that we have is Taekwondo, boxing, karate, and Muay Thai. Those are the 4 pre-constructed decks that are done and ready to go. There's going to be a total of 8 fighters for the first set. The next 4 fighters are going to be Krav Maga, which is an Israeli fighting style. There's going to be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian. You have Judo, and then you have a weapons master. So there's going to be the 8 styles that you can choose from. And each style has 3 specific techniques called advanced techniques that they can train into, learn during the game and during the fight, and then actually use in combat. So you actually have to experience up your fighter, just like I had to. If I have to do it, all of you have to do it. I'm telling you that right now. If I have to go the experience, you have to as well. So when you're playing the game, you're gaining experience and you're having to disperse that amongst all your techniques. You're having to also disperse that on playing cards. It's a real strategy based, and it's up to you. I made sure that the game wasn't playing you or that you were playing the game. You're playing against your opponent with your own strategy. It's your choice. You can go into combat on turn 1 if you want, but it would behoove you to just save your experience for later turns so you can build up and do a better and harder attack. You don't always just want to hurry up and hit him in the face as much as you really want to. Okay? As much as you really want, you're just like, man, I got a kick in my hand, I got a punch in my hand, I just beat face right now. Yeah, it'll be fun. But trust me, if you wait and be patient and train your techniques, the payoff is so much better. Now, your opponent is doing the same thing. At that point, whoever wins or loses is up to the strategy of each player. And that's how I made the game. So at the beginning, your exposition, you have pick your fighter and pick your style, and that's how you build your deck. Next, you have the rising action, which is your turn before you hit combat. And in rising action, you have your draw step, your phase 1, where you're playing cards, setting up your techniques. You're also doing something called stat check, which is your durability, your experience, and your bleed. So you have to check those stats. And this is as you're fighting in real life, you're kind of cognizant of it. It just happens. You know, okay, I'm tired. I'm gasping for air. I have a little blood. All right, whatever. Keep going. Adrenaline's kicking in. So you have to check your stats and everything before you go into your draw phase and then phase 1. Next, we have the climax, which is at the top. It's at the middle. You've been building to this moment. That's what it is. You chose your fighter. You drew your cards. You checked your stats. You played some cards. Let's go to combat. Let's fight. Here we go. All right. And so when you're doing the climax, you have to make sure during a rising action, you are dispersing your experience, like I mentioned, a proper way so that when you go to combat, you can fight properly. So once you move to combat, that is your climax. After, you then have your falling action, which is the remainder of the turn. So after combat, you have phase 2, and then you have the remaining cards that you can play or draw cards, things like that, things to finish off your turn. And then at the end, your resolution, if you have any saved experience, you save it and you pocket it for the next turn. And so, it's just like anything that when I was growing up learning martial arts, I was taught certain techniques. And then I knew, okay, well, I have to practice a technique until I can get it perfectly to where it's muscle memory. And you're doing the same thing with your fighter. You can get all of your techniques and put them up to your fighter, but if they don't have any experience, you can't use them. So you have to make sure that you're training your techniques. That way you can fight in the combat area. So I'm going to play a short video here, which is on the website. And the website is Ronin-TCG.com. So you can check it out. But this will give you an idea. And here's all the fighters that I talked about. And as you can see here, it is completely different from where I started. They look good. Yeah, they look good. I like it. So this is where we're at. And here's your first 8 fighters. Like I said, you have Taekwondo, Karate, Muay Thai, Boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, Krav Maga, and Weapons Master. Now, the good thing that I'm trying to implement into my game, which is the future of my game that I want to do, is that I want to bring back the community, the players, into the game. And by doing that, it's so much easier with AI. So, for instance, this judo fighter is based off of a friend of mine who's also a martial artist that we train together. I asked him, hey, can I put you through AI? It won't be your exact face, but it's going to be your pose, your uniform, and things like that that you're wearing. He said, yeah, go for it. And I showed it, and he loved it. This one right here, the Krav Maga fighter, is also a friend of mine. It's not his face, but his body posture, the way he is. And he's a pretty stacked dude. So, and the way he fights, that's exactly how his stance is. So they each know that, okay, that's me. Yeah, I get it, you know? So this Weapons Master is a friend of mine in Japan. He's a highly skilled martial artist, a black belt in Taekwondo, Karate, and a master of weapons. And I asked him, can I use you as the Weapons Master? And he was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. I was like, all right, gotcha. And so I sent him this one. So here on the site, here's the trailer for the first part of the game. But here's the spoilers. So as you can see, I'm now in a point where I have my template. I know what I'm doing with it. I just got to create cards, create images, and then just put them out. You know, I don't know why I did that, but yeah, that's what I got to do. So if you can see up here, I now squished our belt and rarity to the top left corner. It still looks really nice, really clean. I have a title of what this is, what the description of the card is. I still have all the art, and I have all the keywords and everything, copyright down here, and card number. So we're at that point now, from where you saw at the very beginning, stock images, big belt in the middle. It's a lot cleaner, more presentable. It works a lot better for the eyes and the player. And so now you have all these different techniques for each of the fighters. Now this one was hilarious to make because that took almost a day to find the correct image I needed. Because you got water splashing everywhere, you got tongues hanging out, and you got eyes looking at you and one looking at the water. And I'm just like, oh my God. So I got to a point where I had to take one eye from one image, put it on there, but it didn't match with the cheekbones and everything. I'm just like, oh. I feel like Frankenstein when I'm like putting cards together in images. So, but I ended up getting one down and it feels good. There was one where he had his thumb here on the bottom, but then he had about 8 fingers. And so I was like, that's a huge grip. I mean, so here's what a lot of the cards are looking like. You can check the site. But I'm going to go ahead and play this trailer, which will give you an idea of how the game is. Let me turn it up on this real quick.
Students, to a world where cards meet combat, where strategy meets strength, experience means everything. This is where you'll become the ultimate martial arts master. This is Ronin TCG, newest trading card game that's about to sweep the leg out from your opponent. I'm the creator, your guide on this epic journey into the world of Ronin. Tighten your belts because we're about to fight our way into the action. Do you want to know what makes this game strike first, strike hard, leaves no mercy on the table? Let's break it down. First things first, you need to assemble a deck. This consists of 60 cards, 1 ultimate technique, 1 fighter to represent you in the arena. You may have 1 legendary card in the deck. is limited to one because of how powerful they can be. Your fighter and ultimate technique don't count towards your main 60 card deck. There's no mulligan, no redraws, no reshuffling for better cards. What you draw is what you get. Just like in any fighting competition, one shot to come out the victor with what you came in with. Now, when you're ready, I think it's time for some serious training.
Did you get that? The training
You earn
cards?
experience points, also known as XP, at the beginning of every turn. The rule book will go into more detail about XP saving, earning, and distributing. This XP, you'll want to train your fighter to learn devastating advanced techniques. These are pivotal in becoming the winner by the end of the match. HP is capped at 100. It will not go any higher even if you heal. Once you drop to 0, you are knocked out and lose the game. So keep your guard up. Combat is a fierce best of 3 games, with a 50-minute time limit per match. If no winner is decided within the time limit, you will have 5 turns to finish the match. If not, then it's a draw. Harness the power of auras and master-level titles to become an unstoppable force. Every martial art style brings its unique flavor to the arena, with their own signature moves that can give each fighter an advantage. Don't forget about the most important aspect of the game, training. It's the key to unlocking your fighter's true potential. Boost your damage, increase your durability, build your arsenal of advanced techniques, string together combos, and more. Speaking of advanced techniques, this is the key to any combat situation. You'll need XP, strategy, and the right timing to master these devastating moves. In order to use an advanced technique, you must train it fully and have another of the same technique in hand to use it. Using 3 of these advanced techniques means you have now mastered them, with each having its own level of mastery. Once an advanced technique is mastered, you no longer need to draw the card to use it in combat. You can use the master technique in any combat, as long as you have the required XP to do so. Blocks and counters are your best assets when you're on the defense. Being able to build your durability is key to survival in the arena. So much so that some fighters base their style on the defensive start to explode with power later in the fight. Other fighters have a strategy to break through the durability, leaving their opponent vulnerable to attacks and bleed effects. Speaking of bleed, bleed leaves the fighter with a counter, depending on how many stacks they have. At the beginning of your turn, you remove a counter and take 2 damage. It either runs out or can be healed. Be sure to keep an eye on it. It can stack up real quick. I'm sure by now you're wondering about those ultimates. The game changers with the right strategy. Ultimates are a one-time use per round and are readily available at the beginning of the game. Both players will have visual access to their opponent's ultimate. Once an ultimate is used, the card flips over to show it's no longer available. You unleash an ultimate to finish the fight, or an offensive ultimate to protect yourself. The choice is yours. So, are you ready to claim your place in martial arts history? You're a master of your style. Defeat any opponent in front of you. The arena awaits. Ronin TCG is calling you to fight. Grab your deck and prepare for a match with friends or in a local tournament. Prepare for the tournaments ahead of you to have your chance at the rewards that await. Welcome you all. The journey into the world of Ronin TCG has just begun.
There's an applause.
Oh, well, thank you. So that was the trailer into the game. There's also, if you go onto the site here, the spoilers of where you can look for all of them, and then how to play. You got game basics as well, so you can check out how the game's played and things like that. But one thing I kind of want to come back to is from where I started creating this to where I'm at now is still a bit surreal. It's still unbelievable, to be honest. And one of the biggest things that kind of hit me when I first made this, it wasn't like, oh, this looks cool, this would be a cool effect, maybe someone would like this. The thing that really popped to me when I first played it with a friend was, wow, this works. Like, the rules work. Everything is working how I intended it, things like that. And so that was a huge surprise to me, to be honest. But I want to show you a couple of things that you'll have a great laugh about. So, as I mentioned before, the AI image aspect is some of the most difficult part, and this is why. So this character, can anybody spot the difference? It looks great otherwise, but what is it?
Third leg.
There's a third leg.
There's a fourth foot.
Yeah, and so when I'm doing this, I was like, okay, that's a great stance. I can fix the face a little bit, and I can do some shadowing here and there. And then I was like, wait, is that a third leg right there? I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So when you're working with AI, it will continue to create that leg. So you almost have to start it over.
You need like an expansion deck that literally you keep
Just with the messed up.
Yeah, special ability, triple kick
Well,
attack.
like, so one of the things is like I'm using the AI aspect because I don't have the artistic prowess, and paying artists right now as a beginning developer is just expensive. If the game can pop off, I would love to just pay artists and have real art. But right now I'm going to use the technology that's available to me. You know. Also, if people enjoy the AI art, then maybe I'll stick with it. Who knows? So you got something like that, and then you get this. It seems fine, but what can you guys like spot?
His spine.
There it is. Yeah, that spine is gone. I don't know if that's his front or back, and then the foot is the wrong angle, and then why are you smiling at your foot? Like, so yeah, there's a lot of that to it as well. Now with this one, I was like, okay, this is a really good image. And then I looked at her foot. There's somebody else's arm attached to it, so it's not an actual foot. And so I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Because even the blurred person in the background, that was great. It had a great effect to it. But I couldn't use it because the foot is wrong. And same with this. I don't know what's up with his foot, and I don't know why he looks like a dancer. So I had to redo that one. This one, his face was extremely messed up. So I had to redo that. Now this one is for bandage. I don't know why he's holding his own third hand. So, and he's interlocked with it. It's very important to him. So this one ended up becoming, where is it? Is it on tree? Yes. So that one became healing bandage. So you can see where it was here to now here. So the things of having to put arms where you need to, redo the face. So AI is such a helpful tool, but it is definitely not as easy as people think. And I hope you see how it is now. So there was that. I got another one over here where he wanted to grow a third arm out of his thigh, and he wanted to punch you with his foot. So that was that. So yeah, this is Ronin TCG. You want to go to ronin-tcg.com. This is the game. I'll be demoing it in the card room that we have over here. And I was demoing it all day yesterday. I had some great feedback. So if you want to come and check it out, that'd be great. And that's all my time. So I appreciate it. Thank you everybody for coming by. And since y'all are here, before you go, I'm going to pass out something to y'all. But I am done. Thank you again.
No, I think we're actually in there, yeah.
Okay, so here you go. Everybody who can gets a card. So this is a Yumacon exclusive, and they are serialized. So when the game drops, you can play this card in your deck. You're limited to one. And they are serialized, like I said. Some kid yesterday played the game and he got number one. There you go. So this one is actually based off my dad. He was my coach for a lot of my martial arts, so I kind of based it off of him. Murray. So yeah, but once the game drops, you can definitely play that card in there and everything. So what's up, dude? Oh man, it's good to see you. What are you doing back here?
It is just real quick. I'm gonna give you that work. So I'd like to have you on, man. Promote local stuff. We have a website. We do articles, publish stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'd love to chat with you, dude.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be cool.
We have your website though. You have a contact?
Yeah, it's all on there. You can either get me through Instagram or YouTube. There's an email in there as well. You can hit me up through there.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So
whenever the game's ready,
we
we'd
can
love
set up an interview,
to
man.
set up.
Oh, okay, dope. That'd be
playthrough as
appreciated.
well, so.
Yeah, it's very complex, but at the same time, once you play a game or two, it just streamlines, and it's the strategy of the game that makes it.
Yeah, I'm very Leroy Jenkins at everything I play anyway. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm the guy you're talking about. That uses all his kicks and punches.
On turn one.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, let me get this out of your way.
No, you're good.
AirPods are in the small pocket.
Oh, there's your backpack. I need the.
I started talking to him about announcing and just missed it, didn't I?
Yeah. Good. Good. I didn't want to be here for it anyway.
Perfect. So you have like actual cards now, or?
Yeah, I have 4 decks. I'm gonna head over to the card area if you want to play.
When does it actually drop?
So I'm hoping to be back in Japan. I've been living in Japan for like the last 6 months. Is where I started development. I started development of this in July of this year. So it's just been only a couple months. But I'm trying to finish the set, 200 card set for the first one, and be done by November. And then I'll start in production of how to get it out. And then Lost Empire Games is going to be the shop that is the only one that has it locally.
So I was going to offer too. I am an actor and
Oh, okay.
If you ever.
Oh, dope.
Trailers, anything like that.
Yeah. Like get on the site and then send me your information. Remind me of who you are and everything.
Watch that.
Yeah. Because I used an AI voice for the trailer. So
It
that's
sounded pretty good.
yeah. It for what I needed for that, it did what it needed. But yeah, for other trailers and everything, I wouldn't mind. Again, I got to get past that level so I can actually pay people. I don't want you doing it for free. you got a skill, and I want to pay you for it. So.
I'll let him do it for free.
Murray's my
I'll do it for
manager.
That won't be free
If you need help, I will work for free.
I appreciate
Is
it.
it your laptop or you?
Yeah, we got our own, man. We're good.